Hi guys, Nick Thomas here. Welcome back to the Academy of Historical Fencing. And today I'm going to be looking at the Kraken training cutlasses. Now, as you know, I study British military swordsmanship, and that includes, when you work from something like Roath or Angelo, it includes all the swords used on foot, so and anything from Spadroon, sabre, broadsword, and the hanger or cutlass. And that was kind of something missing in my arsenal as such. The naval weapons are fun anyway, and I really wanted something representing the Napoleonic era cutlass, which the cutlass at the time was the 1804 cutlass and the pre-pattern examples just before that. So I asked him to make some, and this was the end product. And I've had these now since the summer last year, so they've had a load of use. See, maybe a pair. They are near enough identical, same blades. One has slightly more space for the glove than the other, although they both fit Red Dragons and sparring gloves. So I just put one down there and just give you an overview. So most people think of a cutlass as the typical pirate sword, you know, wildly curved. Of course, in reality, cutlasses were both straight and curved, and the British pattern examples, the 1804, and the ones that led up to the 1804, were straight. There were a few curved examples, but as a rule, they were straight, and they were between 27 and 29 inch blades. And this here is a 28 inch, so it's nice and in the middle. And the guard used is what was called the figure of eight guard, because obviously if you lay it flat, it forms a figure of eight. And that's a really simple guard style that is easy to make, strong, and offers so much protection. In most areas, it has as much as a basket hilt. So, you know, it's a really, really good design and very, very simplistic. So anyway, and also I will mention that although it's called the 1804 pattern, it was just adopted in 1804. In reality, this type of cutlass was in use from around about the 1730s. It's hard to put an exact date on it, but they were already around. The only thing they did is they standardized and basically standardized on a new style of grip. So essentially the pre-pattern ones had just a round grip. It was just a wooden grip with basically a flat steel bent around it, and then the 1804 had a cast iron grip that was ergonomically shaped like this. So that's the only difference, and they did get a bit heavier as well. So right, originals then. The pre-patterned examples with the straight grips tend to be lighter. They're usually in the 800 gram range, and when you get to the cast grip models later, they can push 1 kilo, 1.1 kilos. They can be a good bit heavier. Now obviously part of that weight is the cast grip. It does add a fair bit of weight, but the blades do tend to be just a little bit beefier as well. And these examples that Alex made, they came out at 950 grams, so they're kind of right in between the pre-pattern range and the pattern range. That's probably a good thing, because if you go for pattern range sort of stuff, the 1.1 kilo beasts, they are heavy, heavy hitters. Now, whilst I mentioned Alex, Alex Timmerman runs Kraken Swords, who made these, and he's come over to see me a few times, done a load of sparring, played with his swords, and yeah, he's a good chap and reliable, and he'll make you all kinds of fun stuff. All sorts of spadroons and broadswords and cutlasses and alehouse daggers, and he's into making some fun stuff. So yeah, I would recommend him anyway. And at the moment he's tending to use Castile blades, although he's used a few other things. So if you watch the video of me and him sparring in the rain, and I'm using this, and he's using another one that he made using a Regeni blade. So there are options there. So what else is there to say about it? Well, essentially, the way this has come out, so this is a Castile Spartha blade, which I thought would be a good idea for cutlass, and I think it is. Again, it's in the middleweight range for British cutlasses of that period, and inevitably it doesn't flex massively. It's got a bit of flex, but that's inevitable if you want, you know, a reasonably weighted blade of short length. It's nice and durable, which is good, and the guard has proven really, really tough. Which has been excellent, and it is screw threaded, so you can just keep, you know, torquing it down, keep it tight, and yeah, it's just been a really, really fun sword to use. And if you haven't used a short sword with a good bit of protection before, you really should, because they're an absolute blast. That's all there is to say about it, really. Alex is pretty quick at making stuff, and as I said, nice and reliable. I've also got one of his Spadroons and had a play with some of the other stuff that he's made, and yeah, they're just all around really, really good. So Cutlass is something we have not had a supply for in the HEMA world, and suddenly we now have one. I will just mention one extra thing about this is the perforated hulls. Now on the originals, these discs were just flat discs, they weren't perforated at all. And the reason this has been done is so that you can use thicker steel but keep the weight down. So it's stronger than the originals, which is good from a sparring perspective because, again, sparring swords tend to take a battering, as you can see from this guard. But he's kept the weight realistic. So yeah, that's just for the sake of keeping weight down. And he has now done fancier designs rather than just hulls. He's done all kinds of fancy designs, and you can check that out on his Facebook group and I think on his website as well. But if you wanted something different, I'm sure he would oblige. So there you go. Kraken Swords, 1804 Cutlass. It's fun. It's not too hard a hitter. It's really great if you want to get into the naval swordsmanship, and if you just want to do British military swordsmanship with a range of different weapons, get this and have some fun with it. And lastly, if you like the t-shirt, this is one of my designs. We've got a Redbubble shop working now, and you can buy this at the link below. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.